Good afternoon, ladies, gents and Pikachus. Welcome back to another analysis and breakdown of the Quran of the Muslims. Yeah, we are back once again, breaking this thing down verse by verse into factual, logical statements in English so we can understand who or what is Allah, what does he mean by this book, and more importantly for us non-believers, how does this affect us in our lives in the world today. So before I start, as I always do, I'm going to tell you now if you have any doubts as to my factual accuracy or you wish to challenge any of the things I'm about to say now or have previously said, please first buy and read one of these and then you will realise every single word I'm about to say now is 100% true to the words of Allah and what Muslims believe today. So, if you've been keeping up with the series and you saw the last one, you'll remember that Allah created a false Christ, Jesus Christ, son of Allah, who was going to be born to a Virgin Mary. That was his prophecy. But what actually happened is Mary kind of didn't actually have him as a baby. He floated down on a cloud, spent about half an hour collecting disciples and telling them that Jews and Christians are evil, and actually it's only Muslims who are the real true believers of Allah, who is definitely the only God. Then he buggered off back with Allah, and then we carry on from there. So let's get started. 61. If you dare dispute this matter, now after I gave you the full testament of it, say, come now sons, fathers, mothers and daughters, and invoke Allah's disease upon the evildoers. Let them see Allah's endless rage. End of verse. So, a very fast start this time. We're carrying on with Jesus Christ, son of Allah, has returned to Allah. And Allah is now saying to his Muslims, because he likes to do this, he's saying, you can't dispute this now. You all saw that, didn't you? I made fake Jesus Christ, son of Allah. He came down, did a disciples thing, went back up. So if anyone disputes that this guy is the real Jesus, these are the real disciples, and that it's all to do with Mecca, and i.e. the Christ of Nazareth is fake. If anyone does dispute this matter after I gave you the full testament, and he calls it a testament because he's been reading the gospel and he thought the gospel was cool, so he's copied it. If anyone dispute this matter now, after I gave you the full testament of it, what you say to them, O Muslims, those people who are disputing, come now, sons, fathers, mothers and daughters, invoke Allah's disease upon the evildoers. Let them see Allah's endless rage. So what this means, if we break it down, is Allah is making the point, before we move on, because he also likes to do that, that now that everyone has seen Jesus Christ is the son of Allah, he didn't die on the cross, he didn't actually live till he was old or be born of the Virgin Mary. That was all wrong prophecy from Allah. He came down on a cloud, said some things to his disciples who went off and did something they're no longer in the story. Then he went back up to Allah, and Allah is saying, that's the proof you need to know that Jesus is fake. Okay guys, and if you dispute it, I will give you Allah's disease, and how Allah's disease is going to affect you, O non-believers, evil ones, evildoers, is the Muslims are going to say, come now, sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, everybody get in a big group and curse those evil non-believers and invoke Allah's disease. And as we know from an earlier writing, Allah's disease is mind control, and what that makes you do as a non-believer. When you have Allah's disease, it makes you in horrible, nasty sin and not follow the Quran. So effectively, what this means is, if you see non-believers, curse them with non-belief, then Allah can say, see, I'm mind controlling them. See what he's doing there? He's setting up the next part of the book by making an incorrect prophecy with Jesus Christ, son of Allah, and then saying you must believe me, otherwise you'll be like those evil non-believers who are under my mind control disease. And the bit about the mothers, daughters, fathers and sons doing it is just to make sure, ye Muslims, O ye Muslims, that you are making sure yourself that everyone you know also believes this. That's why he's specifically saying, come now sons, fathers, mothers, daughters, because you, O Muslim, you are the guy who has to convince the rest of the Muslims that this is not in dispute. So says Allah in the book. And that's what that means. 62. Be you a wise Muslim, not a despicable Satan, if you accept this as the true account of things, and accept Allah is the only God, most powerful and wise. End of verse. So I feel like we're back to the short verses, the short to the point verses now, after the long drawly bit about the false Christ, who was Jesus Christ, son of Allah. A lot of that was written in very wordy, kind of boring language, and it was very hard to get through. You could be easy to mistake that and reinterpret it the wrong way. Not so with this bit. This bit is like, if you dispute that stuff there, which was really wordy and hard to understand, you're evil and dead. And by the way, if you are a wise Muslim, not a despicable Satan, you know, a Jew, you will accept this as the true account of things, and you will accept that Allah is the only God, most powerful and wise. So breaking that down, the reason he's saying that is to make sure you, O Muslims, and readers of his Quran of the Muslims, know that Allah is the only God, not that guy. So we're still on throwing shade on Jesus at this point and saying he's definitely not the son of God. That God's not real. He's not the real son of God. Jesus, son of Allah, yeah, and Allah. That's what this means. Oh yeah, and then the reason he says at the end, Allah is the only God, most powerful and wise, is because he wants you, O Muslims, to know, even though you're hearing stories about Jesus doing these amazing miracles, don't worry, we've got our own Jesus who is better, and the reason he is definitely better is because he is from a God who is wise and powerful. Your God is most powerful and most wise. So he's competing with Yahweh here, you know, God the Father, because God the Father is described as powerful and wise and merciful and graceful. Allah is more graceful, more wise, more merciful, more this, more that, more powerful. He's trying to one-up God. That's what this means. And so we carry on. 63. Those who do not bow shall be deceived and destroyed, for Allah hath all knowledge of those who do hide from his wrath. End of verse. Now, this is not the first time we've heard this exact language. So I feel like the reason this is being repeated is every time Allah makes a kind of flimsy threat on top of a load of crap prophecies that he's just made, his insecurity is activated. Allah, are you feeling alright? He's still asleep. So yeah, every time, because he's getting old now, when his insecurity is hitting him, the way he deals with his own insecurity is by shaking his fist at his Muslims and telling them what to do. And what he's saying here is saying, those of you, O Muslims, who do not bow, you shall be deceived and destroyed like those guys that I plotted to go and kill in the last episode. You know, because Allah was kind of gutted that his prophecies didn't turn out, and he's, you know, even though he's not admitting it to his Muslims, Allah knows he's being roundly defeated by the Christians who are now numerous and powerful, and his Muslims are like a tiny little group compared to all these Christians and Jews who are working together with their Christ. So he's not happy, and he doesn't want his Muslims to know that. So he says, those who do not bow shall be deceived and destroyed like those guys over there who we're going to go and kill, and I have plotted to help you deceive and destroy. For Allah hath all knowledge of those who do hide. So this is a between the lines threat to his Muslims. Don't you be hiding any thoughts of defecting over there. I know you fancy that Jesus Christ guy is your Messiah, but fucking don't. Because if you do, Allah will know. He hears and sees all. I am watching you. That's what this means. Allah hath all knowledge of those who do hide from his wrath. So don't you fucking dare to hide, because Allah will know, and he will come and get you and drag you back to the other Muslims who will apply the beheading punishment to you, O Muslims. So don't even think about it. That's what this means. So we move on to 64, which I'm going to tell you now is a longer verse, but pay attention, kiddies, because this is the important bit of this episode. 64. When those who are hiding, you know, they're thinking about defecting to Jesus Christ and having him as Messiah, we're talking about those guys. When you see them and you get a chance, tell them all, O Muslims, O ye men of the book, that means, you know, Christians and their Jews, you shall kneel only to Allah in servitude and submission. You will worship only he and obey his every guidance. You will not refuse this, lest your skulls decorate hell. May you not have lords or lands outside of what Allah has commended for you. Allah said, quote, O Muslims, you must set upon all those who resist, and even those who cannot fight must bear witness to Allah's domination. End quote, end of verse. So, breaking that down, Allah is saying to his Muslims, those guys over there, they're fucking evil and bad. Their Christ is fake. You guys, don't you have any fucking doubts? Don't you even think about defecting over there to that Jesus Christ fella? You are the sons of Jesus Christ, son of Allah, and me. So he's gone up to heaven now, so it's me again. And by the way, tell those little bastards over there, O ye men of the book, you shall kneel to Allah. That's literally what he's saying. You shall fucking well kneel to Allah in servitude and submission. Get on your knees and prostrate, you bastard Jews and Christians. You will worship only me. You shall obey every guidance I give you. You will not refuse this, lest your skulls will decorate hell. Allah's literally foaming at the mouth in the thought that these guys are doing better than him and all his prophecies are not coming out. So he's taken out his rage on his Muslims by going, this is like someone who beats their wife. You know, they get angry at the neighbour who smiled at the wife and said, are you okay? And she went, yeah, I'm fine. Went back into the house, battered to our housewife. And then he goes, you tell that neighbour I'm fucking mad, and like beats up the wife on account of the neighbour being nice. That's what he's doing here. He's beating up on his Muslims for thinking about Jesus being nice to them to make sure they don't go and have any more niceness from Jesus. So that's why he says, you will not refuse this lest your skulls decorate hell. He's literally saying, not only when I kill you, you'll burn forever in hell, you know, because the hell of Allah is like your skin regenerates as it's burning, and you're like hanging on the wall, so your skull is completely visible while your skin's all burning off. That is what you will get, O Muslims, in the words of Allah in his book, O graceful and merciful, wise Allah, according to himself. And then he finishes off the verse by actually speech bubbling. Allah said, O Muslims, you must set upon all who resist. So basically, Muslims, if anyone refuses to take this on board or refuses you when you're telling them this, you must set upon them. That means you must invade them and kill them all, take all their stuff, cut their heads off. And even those who cannot fight, i.e. the preachers and stuff who are too weak to fight, they must bear witness to Allah's domination. So what that means is, while those guys are off cutting the heads off the Christians and Jews who didn't want to obey Allah, all the other ones have to be online, well, in the current day, not back then, but they have to be watching and writing a scribe saying, oh, this great battle, Allah was so successful, those non-believers didn't stand a fucking chance, we killed them all, no problem. That's what this means. So we move on to the last verse, which is 65. Ye disbelieving Satans and their shepherds, your stupidity leads you to your denial of Abraham's prayer. He prayed only to Allah, despite your Torah came after him. Have your minds failed in understanding my commands? End of verse, end of reading. So, we finally reach Allah's real reason for this whole thing, his raison d'etre for this whole page. Now that we've slagged off Christians and Jews, we've made out that Jesus is fake because we got our own Jesus, son of Allah. He's gone up, so everyone's on Allah again. Now he's done the whole threat thing, what we're going to do to those guys over there. And by the way, you non-believing Muslims, if you dare to join them, and don't be jealous about Jesus or you will get killed. Now we've done all that bit, he's back on slagging off the non-believers, which is pretty much what he always does, to reintroduce the end times genocidal prophecy that he loves so much. The goal of this whole book and the whole religion of peace is about war. So he starts off, ye disbelieving Satans and your shepherds. So Allah's fairly angry still. He's stopped foaming at the mouth now, but he's still shaking with rage. So he's talking about those guys. Ye disbelieving Satans, that's the Jews, and your shepherds, that's the Christians. Your stupidity leads to your denial of Abraham's prayer to me. Only Allah. Because remember, Abraham, in the Torah this doesn't happen. In Allah's version of Abraham, Allah travels back in time after he's done the whole Moses bit, and he meets up with Abraham, and Abraham's like, whoa, it's Allah. Oh, amazing. I was off worshipping Elohim like 5 minutes ago, and he was cool. He was looking after me, and he was giving me food, and he was, you know, graceful and merciful. But then Allah turned up, and Abraham was like, screw you, old God. Now I've got this new God called Allah. And what happened is Allah made Abraham do a prayer, and his prayer was like this. O wise and merciful Allah, please make everyone be Muslims. Please make all our sons be Muslims. Please make our sons' sons be Muslims, and our sons' sons' sons be Muslims, and everybody else ever be Muslims. And Allah said, I will make it so. But it never happened, so it's another failed prophecy. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, ye disbelieving Satans and shepherds, Christians and Jews, your stupidity has led you to deny the thing about Abraham. It's not because you had an earlier book that described Abraham in the first place, which this ripped off. Oh no, it's nothing to do with that. It's because you're stupid, in the words of Allah. So Allah is saying you guys are stupid because you dispute his version of events regards to Abraham, i.e. you don't stick to your Torah thing, because remember, Allah gave you the Torah so that you could have it revised with this, And then the false Christ came down and said, by the way, we're revising your stuff again, because obviously you didn't do it the first time. Then he buggered back off to the clouds, sent the clay pigeon to the west to say, we're going to heal the sick with this pigeon. And that will be the proof that this is real. So obviously now that that's failed and no one fucking believes a word of it, Allah is really angry. And he's saying, you disbelieving Satans and Christians, despite your stupidity that's led you to not agree with me and worship Allah, despite that your Torah came after him, have your minds failed to understand my commands? And what that means is, the reason he says, despite your Torah came after him, he's saying to the Jews, how the hell do you know about Abraham? You didn't even write the Torah until Moses. So how would you know about Abraham when Moses came way after? You must have made the thing up about Abraham. I travelled time, I was there, says Allah. So he's making out that the Jews' account of Abraham is wrong. And actually the true account is that Abraham was a Muslim and everyone past that is Muslims. And he's punctuating that to the disbelievers by saying, have you lost your minds? Have your minds failed to understand my commands? And this is to his Muslims, of course, because actually over there, where the Christians and Jews are happily progressing and being in rich kingdoms and being happy, they haven't failed to understand his commands at all. They just don't give a fuck about his commands because they don't worship him at all because they think Allah is Satan, and Jesus and the Gospels has proven this to them because it was prophesied in the Old Testament by actually Moses, and then it was proven out by Jesus Christ of Nazareth, not the fake guy, and that is what this means. So in summary of this page, I think we can clearly see what Allah is doing here. The last one was about the false Christ, shitting all over Christians and Jews and saying your prophets were all fake. Jesus Christ of Nazareth, no, he's not the real one. Our one's real, but he's gone, so it's Allah. This one is about quelling the rebellious feelings of his Muslims, who are now scratching their heads thinking, Allah, it's not that we don't want to believe in you. We really, really do want to believe in you because we want to not have our heads cut off. It's just, you keep making these bad prophecies, man. And you keep running us into battles where we get slaughtered. And you keep leading us to poverty and curses and disease and stuff. But you promised all that to those guys. What happened to the Jews and Christians being cursed, disease, having no lands, no leaders and no money? What happened to that? They're getting all the good stuff you promised us. We're getting all the shit stuff you promised them. It's not fair, Allah, but we're not allowed to tell you because you'll cut off our heads, so we just have to secretly think it. Ladies, gents and Pikachus, that is what this page is about. This page is Allah getting into the minds of his Muslims who are secretly thinking rebellion but too fucking afraid to tell him. Allah knows this, and he's saying to his Muslims, oh Muslims, don't you fucking even dare think about rebellion. Otherwise, off with your head, you're dead. And that's the end of this video. So that was fun, wasn't it? So I hope you enjoyed that and you learnt something. We'll be going through more inane ramblings of Allah Akbar tomorrow at 7:15 in the morning. So I'll see you then. Until then, have a great night. God bless you all. And I will see you, beautiful, lovely people, in the next one. Bye. So that's all for tonight, ladies, gents and Pikachus. If you want to catch up with me tomorrow at 7:15 AM, we can continue with Allah's insane foamy mouth rambling towards his Muslims. Threats about if they dispute the account of Abraham, which is definitely true. So join up with me then. For the meantime, have a great night. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.